All right, everybody, looks like we are all set up here. The gauges are green, and yeah, let's go ahead and get the chat set up. I think I've got that already in my pocket here. Maybe not. Make sure everybody checks in, says hi, and we shall go from there. Why is that chat not showing? Oh, because it's the wrong, because it's there we go. That's why. Okay, so it's Friday night, or it's actually it's Saturday night, and today I was trying to, I started watching this video early this morning, and it kind of got me right to the whole, are you being red-pilled or not? Now, I want to say, first thing, fishing guy, dude, I sent you a message on Wire. I was actually worried about you, but yeah. First, catitude. Number two, Deanna, you are deterred. Looks like we got, and Tim showed up as well. I'm sure things will get themselves right. I'm working on the poll. We're getting that set up here. But the poll is about being red-pilled. And, you know, I don't even like that question. You know what? Do you feel like you're being blue-pilled by tube preppers? And if you don't know the difference, basically being red-pilled isn't it's about conservative values, but it's also mostly about if you're willing to do things to make things right. That's what it really comes down to. And being blue-pilled means kind of like kumbaya, kinder, gentler type stuff. And then black-pilled basically means you're being told that you're completely wrong and all screwed up. But anyway, Cole, good to see you, bro. Good to see you. So I guess the question is, it's like, are you, and I've got a little bit of a script. I got some bullets. Let's not call it a script. Let's call it bullets to go off here, because I was actually going to turn this into a video, and I was like, this is going to be a lot of work if I turn this into a video. You're the only prepper I follow, so no, I guess. All right, well, Cole, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate the vote of confidence. So, with that said, let's go ahead and transition to, I got so many screens open right now. Me on another screen. There we go. And why is the chat hidden? There it is. Okay. I want you guys to see this. This actually came out a couple days ago, but it really got me thinking after I was watching this one. I'm calling them tube preppers now. Sometimes they're okay, and sometimes they're not. Maybe I was even one of these people at some point. Okay. But it's really started making me wonder about what is going on with the military and its past inability to accomplish missions. We see in the news today where they're pretty much knocking it out of the park. Catitude, thank you very much for the $2 donation. It will help buy me some cat food for my cats. Catitude, I will tell my cats thank you. Meow. And it is much appreciated. Gold star. I think, is that gold or is that orange or red? What color star is yours? Anyway, so watch this. I want you guys to see this. Hopefully I've got the sound right. I do not have the sound right. Something about my sound has been doing some really weird stuff here. And gold, let's turn that on. Is that gold or is that orange? I don't know why. What color star is yours? Anyway. Oh, I know why. Hold on a second, guys. Watch this. I want you guys to see. There we go. We're going to turn that off. Let's try this again. Let's try this one more time. Here we go.
Wake up, Daddy Son.
Welcome home, son.
Strength and honor. Strength and honor.
What will you do without freedom?
Mavericks inbound.
You can't conceive of what I'm capable of. Finishing this fight.
Yeah, I'm thinking I'm back.
I'm here to fight for truth and justice in the American way.
I am the danger.
Time to find out.
Maximum effort.
Here it comes. Now end this.
Flawless victory.
So you see who put that out? That actually came out of the White House. That entire video came out of the White House. And it kind of made me wonder, like, is the government trying to red pill us? But then, like, and I'm going to probably say this more than once, but, during 9/11, people were pretty motivated. They were pretty, like, wrapped up in, like, hey, it's time to get a little bit of revenge, a little bit of payback. It's time to show the world that you can't do this stuff to us, even though they just did it, right? So it's very difficult for me to, like, wrap my head around the idea. It's like, because there's no definitive answer. Are you being red pilled? Are you being blue pilled? Had you been blue pilled? Where did this come from? This whole idea that it's not a good thing to support your country, to support your government. Unfortunately, with the Biden years, they really did a lot of work at making people not trust them at all. And now, sometimes Captain Red Tie's administration will make us feel like, oh, maybe we shouldn't be trusting these guys. Tim, thank you very much. Appreciate it, man. I will apply that one to the, make sure everybody gives these guys thumbs ups for doing this stuff for me. Keeping the lights on, that kind of thing. But it's just so really hard to wrap your head around. And I tried to, like, write this whole systematic script that kind of would be able to explain it without boring everybody to death. So I figured I would just do it with a live stream. So I'm old enough to Tim's on a roll again. Tim thinks he's throwing dollar bills at me. I'm not your type, bro. I'm not your type. I don't wear a G-string. So like I'm saying, I'm old enough to remember these things. And I can see why people might think we're being red-pilled by the government. And there are also some that think we're being black-pilled, but I don't believe that. So I had some hard questions. Somebody told me today that they thanked me for asking the hard questions, and I think that's one of the things that I like to be known for. There are some people that don't like it. There's a cabal of tube preppers that hate my guts because I ask the hard questions. Oh shit, here we go. All right, Catitude. All righty, Alan, thank you, man. I appreciate you guys. Everybody, make sure you're smacking that like button for those guys. We're almost at our goal. That's unheard of. But some of the hard questions that just have to be asked, even if you get an answer that tells you like, maybe not. I don't agree, and here's why, or I don't think so, or maybe there's not enough. You know what I'm saying? So here's what happened. Let me tell you a story. I'm gonna tell you a story. Okay. I was watching this tube prepper today. Tim, I'm starting to think you have like that old man's disease where your hand just shakes a lot, but your hand's on the mouse or the pay button. Love you, man. But like I said, I was watching this tube prepper this morning, and I actually really enjoy Catitude. You guys are just, I'm not saying anything else until I get done with this group of words I need to say. But like I said, I was watching this prep tuber this morning. These guys, I really like him. He's very charismatic. He's very intelligent. So I don't have anything negative to say about the guy, but you know, it's like it's like gaydar, you know what I'm saying? I can't put it in any other words. It was like gaydar, right? He was talking and I was listening and he was talking about different things. And it was just like, it just started like to seep out. Like you can start to see who you think somebody really is, right? So I was watching this prep tuber speaking about Iran this morning. And his opinions were very much on the fence and very anti-American involvement, which was kind of weird since we massed over there and an attack and all this other stuff, right? And so I went back and watched this video a few more times. And this was like a 48-minute long video. So I was really enthralled in what I was seeing come out of this. It's like the words that he was saying, they almost like they went against the grain of everything that I think, right? But he did it in a way that didn't really like make me mad. It was like something I had never seen before. It was very, very weird, right? And it made me think, so is this just the way, and he said several times that he's former military. He spent 20 something years in the military. But I started to think about like his age, okay, and my age, and when I got out and when he got out, and I was like, oh, I get it now. And this is just my theory, right? I got to show my appreciation for which I appreciate you, Tim. But it's like my gaydar went off and I was just like, I get it. I know what happened. I know what happened with these guys. And I keep seeing more and more and more of these guys, right? To include, who is it? Ryan Hall. To include Ryan Hall. You know, he's got like 1 million+ subscribers on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? Maybe even more. He's world renowned, Navy SEAL guy, which I don't really give a shit about. My father worked with the Navy SEALs for 23 years. I mean, they're highly trained individuals, but they're mostly nutbags. Anyway, I was just like, is this just the, it was like, is this just the way things are for the, basically the outgoing military generation? You know what I'm saying? See, I retired in 2007 and we all knew who the weak officers were. They were kind of more focused on paperwork and safety than training. And so we knew who they were, right? We knew to stay away from them. We knew not to ask questions, and they would eventually find themselves in like administrative jobs, even if they were infantrymen, right? But after I retired in 2009, because like I said, I retired in 2007. In 2009, Obama started, he became the president, and he started firing what I would call the warrior class, okay? And he was firing these warrior class generals and inserting the woke ideology into the service academies. When we say service academy, we're talking about the Naval Academy, we're talking about West Point, we're talking about, the other one that's in Virginia that's technically a college, not an academy. If you know the name of it, it's not Virginia Tech. Put it in the chat for me. Put it in the chat. And so he started doing this, and this change affected the officers corps, making it extremely docile and less bold, and then during Biden's administration, the woke agenda was pumped into everything, including the military at the very lowest levels. So we had all of the Obama era military guys that were top down, and then we had the Biden era guys, which were bottom up, okay? And then they kind of met in the middle. And during the Trump era, we know that there was basically a military coup. VMI, thank you, TR Hedge, Tredge? I think it's TR Hedge. Welcome to I don't recognize you. Hit that subscribe and welcome. But yeah, I got you. VMI. I know what you're talking about. I've actually I had a Marine officer in one of my companies that was from VMI, and all the Academy guys always gave him a crap because he didn't have a ring to knock. Anyway, so boom, it's like from the top and then the bottom, right? So you're creating this non-warrior, on the fence culture that significantly weakened our ability to fight and win, and this all happened. Think about it. This all happened during a time where we were at war for like 20 years. And then it's like, well, no wonder things ended so badly. You know what I'm saying? I won't, excuse me, I won't say that we had like this, like we went from warrior class to wussy class. I won't say that. Because there were always people that join the military who want to fight, who want to be the part of the warrior class. But it got me to like really start looking around. Do me a favor, guys. The chat's a little weak. Put a 1 in the chat right now. That will wake things up a little bit. I've got 18 people in here now, I think. Yeah, it's gonna help out the channel. So do that for me if you can. It's thumb and thumb. You know what I'm saying? So. This literally created like an entire era, okay, of leftist woke emotional programming inside the military, okay, and I was like, okay, so how does this? I mean, now let's circle back to this prep tuber that I'm watching and the words that he's saying, right, and. Let's try to see if we can connect those dots, and almost instantly they all connected. This prep tuber that I'm talking about is up and coming. That's it. It's not about him. It's about a very generalized subject. I'm just using him as the talking point. Okay, he's kind of like very up and coming. He's doing well, and I can't and will not take that away from him. Okay. He served his country for many years and retired honorably. When I say retired, which means he did at least 20 years. And then I started thinking about that time frame that he was in and realized that he was a product of this ideology. Then I was looking for like more examples of this phenomena, you know, and actually found it out there sitting in plain sight. It wasn't just this one guy. It wasn't just the other people that I've known or seen, or some of these other prep tubers that I know that lean that way. You know what I'm saying? It was right out there in plain sight. And the worst part about it, it was another freaking Green Beret, another, I was in Special Forces, so you should listen and trust me. You know, we keep finding more and more of these guys that just, I don't know. But so listen to this. I've got some pictures. I want to make sure I can bring them up properly. I need to just move something around real fast and in a hurry so that, let's see, where is it? Where is, all right, so we're going to do this one right here, and I'm going to mute this just so you can see this guy while I talk about him. So,
Dan, we're also immoral, unethical,
you should not be able to hear it. I'm going to mute that.
Illegal,
actually, I'm going to let it talk. I'm just going to mute it.
But at least the presidents at the time of those wars put
Where's
together
my
a coalition.
cursor at?
A coalition of forces to go in. At least there was.
I don't want. So, where did I find this guy in plain sight? There was I stumbled across this video, and this video is this right here. America has, oh, you guys can't see that. Hold on a second. Let me push the button. Me with the other screen. Okay, so it actually worked out pretty well. It was this guy right here, Lieutenant Colonel in the Army, retired, okay, Anthony Aguilar out of North Carolina, okay? He was actually a whistleblower. All right, I think I can bring up, can I move that picture around? I can't do that. He was actually a supposed whistleblower. And I don't think I can make that. Can I make that? Or let's just do that. He was a whistleblower. He's Special Forces, 25 years. Where is it? Iraq, fought in Iraq, fought in Afghanistan. Bronze Star with Valerie. He got blew up in an armored vehicle. He's got a Purple Heart. I don't know what the Sam Adams Award is. Maybe he likes drinking beer. I don't know what that is. Bachelor's out of the U.S. Military Academy, West Point, where we got to. He went to Arlington and he did his postgraduate at the Command and Staff College for the military. So very educated guy, right? He basically did everything that he was supposed to do in the military. And then he couldn't get enough of it. So he went over to Gaza as a security contractor and started seeing all this stuff that he didn't like. So I'm guessing it just kind of spun up his little, basically got up onto his moral pedestal and says, this is not how things are supposed to work. After we're operating throughout the entire world in Special Forces, he finally focuses in on one place where basically it's all tribalism and people are just like, I don't care. I'll just kill you for that box of MREs. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Deanna, thank you very much. Tucson Prepper, good to see you. Miko Wolf, good to go. Blue pills are for communist Democrats. Well, that's just it. So you're trying to, a lot of these guys that were in the military during that time period that spent like 20 years and just got out, say maybe, I don't know. So it was 2009. So what's that? 29, 7, 6, carry the 4, in the 2020s. These are like all the guys that are getting out. These what's the word? These career service members are getting out, and a lot of them are this guy right here. Now, let me give you the background on this. So the guy on the right, that's Colonel Aguilar, right? It says District 13 because he wants to be a representative in the United States House of Representatives. He's going to run. So he's just like doing everything he can. What's he doing? So the guy on the left, this Salman Ahmed, sorry, the Golf Q came out because I used to speak Arabic a little bit. But Salman Ahmed, I need Salman Ahmed. I gotta put on my hillbilly voice. He is a known hater of Israelis. Okay, he's actually over in the UK, and he's all about the whole conversion of the UK into Muslimism and all this other stuff. And here's this guy, Green Beret, West Point graduate, staff advanced course in academy, right? The guy's got all the accolades, okay, of a wounded service member who's done stuff, been places and done stuff for real. And here he is talking about how America already lost the war because of this, that, and the other thing. And so it really kind of caught my attention that this is somebody who's operating in plain sight and that is doing and saying things that are un-American. It's really mind-blowing. It was really mind-blowing. While I was listening to him, he was talking about like, oh, by the way, let's go here and let's talk. Go to this website, guys. You know, you don't know what Code Pink is, you might want to look it up. It's not as benign as people would try and make it sound like, right? Once again, Army Green Beret, Ranger tab, Special Forces tab, you know, combat up the Yahoo in multiple continents, you know, wounded in action. I mean, and here he is. Here he is talking about all this crap it's completely anti-American. And so I was just like, well, I mean, they can't all be like this, right? They can't all be like anti-American. They got to be like, maybe there's some of them that are like fence sitters, you know, maybe they're just not like, maybe they just don't like they don't get involved. You know what I'm saying? They don't want, and then I started to think about it. Sorry about that, guys. I've been having some problems with my throat lately. And I started to think about it. Like, they can't just all be commie pinkos. You know what I'm saying? They all can't be like that. That's not what our government did to these guys. There's no way, right? But they did make them just a little bit, you know, a little bit weak. You know what I'm saying? I seen that thumbnail and dismissed it as left-wing propaganda. Well, he wants, like I said, he wants to be the representative for District 13 of the state of North Carolina. So you might want to let that one sink in. You know, and the thing is there were other examples. There were other examples of this, but what I want to do is try to stay focused on the ideology of the situation. You know, is it trained into them to have like an aversion to war based on political views, or was it something a little bit deeper, you know? And then I was like, well, wait a minute, maybe, I don't know if this is a left or right thing, because unfortunately, guys, I hate to say this, the majority of you, and I'm guilty of it myself from time to time, have this conception that blue is bad and red is good. Okay. And then it's all across party lines. So I actually did like some weird research. I just some simplistic stuff that anybody can do if they really put the effort in, right? So I was like, who starts wars? That's the question. That was the baseline question, like, who starts wars? And something kind of crazy happened when I was researching this. I started like, okay, who starts more wars, Republicans or Democrats? Both sides will argue all day long that the other side does it, right? So I basically did the research out to 50 years, all right? And surprisingly, in 50 years, the U.S. has had 22 what we would call a conflict or a war. 22 of them in 50 years, right? And so some of the big ones, you know, first of all, started under Democrats. Democrats started them, like a Democrat president, right? There were 11 of them. You had the Bay of Pigs, Vietnam, escalation, Dominican civil rights, Haiti, Bosnia, Afghanistan/Sudan bombings. You got Kosovo, Libya in 2011. You had the ISL attacks in Iraq and Syria, and then once again the ISL in Libya and also in Mozambique, right? And then on the Republican side, you had another 11. Oh my God, wait, that's an even 22, right? Lebanon, Cambodia, Grenada, Libya in 86, the Gulf War, Somalia, Afghanistan, Iraq, and obviously Venezuela and Iran, right? And I'm thinking to myself, that's really weird. That's really weird. So maybe it's not dependent on which political party the president at the time is that starts these wars, right? And so as I reach back just a little bit further, and I don't want to use, this is just an admin note, guy. World War II, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, Democrat. Korean War, Harry S. Truman, Democrat. You know, so if you're keeping score, that's, 13-11. Democrats started more wars, right? But, you have to ask yourself, what does this actually prove? And the answer is still nothing. Absolutely nothing. But I wanted to make sure that you all know that this wasn't political. This was ideological, okay? And what has happened to our military during the Obama/Biden years is this. It's actually very, very interesting. The members of the military were trained how to fight, but they were also indoctrinated to be strongly anti-interventionism, skeptical, anti-war, especially anti-war regarding U.S. military involvement abroad, which is really weird because we have attached the word expeditionary to almost every unit in the military now. But, that whole wars versus operations, I don't even care about any of that. But these people, I really looked into it and looked back into some of the documentation that the Department of Defense was putting out to senior leaders. And what they were training them to do was very, very weird. Okay. And now obviously that training is going to trickle down to the lowest levels, right? But they were trained to reject narratives of freedom, democracy, protecting people from tyrants, or even humanitarian interventions. Instead, these people will argue real motives, including strategic placement, resource control, e.g. like oil choke points, to pressure China, destabilization, profitability for certain elite/contractors, maintaining the petrodollar system, and enforcing compliance with global banking reserve systems. If you've heard any of those, let me throw that back out to you real quick. Oil can't have any China. China can't have any oil. Let's see. What have we got here? China's helping intelligence down to Iran. Okay. We don't have. There were 12, 13 countries that didn't have a central bank, and now there's only 4. You know what I'm saying? If you've seen any of those, anything that talks about that in the last week, I want you to put a 1 in the chat, okay? Because I know I have. Here, I'll start because I know I have. In fact, people have asked me these questions during the last week, and it's just mind-blowing that it all comes back to this ideology, right? And unfortunately, a lot of these prep tubers are former military that were coming out of the military during this time of ideological change, right? So these people, they also view U.S. foreign policy as aggressive and self-inflicted, using analogies like kicking hornets' nests. Then like you kicked a hornet's nest and then you're shocked at retaliation, or maybe like punching someone and complaining how they're fighting back. It's like they're taking, like, I really like where I am. I love peanut butter sandwiches, but I don't really want to, and I might even want to talk bad about somebody, but I really don't want to make them mad. This thought that they're going through, right? And these people believe that U.S. actions provoke hostility You know, e.g., like 47 years of tensions with Iran stem from American meddling, not inherent Iran evil. You know, they're almost like they're talking about like it's almost like they're defending Iran while still trying to play the American, the American line. You know what I'm saying? You can't have it both ways, bro. And unfortunately, these people are they're also very deeply cynical about modern wars, conflict, wars, mocking the semantic games, no formal of declaration of war since decades ago. Instead, operations, strikes, short campaigns, using CIA destabilization before everybody goes in, special operators and subcontractors, and then bombing to avoid backlash on constitutional requirements. It's like, once again, have your cake and eat it too, that kind of thing, right? And these people, they dismiss pro-war or pro-intervention arguments as well, challenging people who support actions against Iran, like citing the killing of Americans, internal repression or nuclear threats. And they do this by questioning the sources, pointing out the hypocrisy of, things like U.S., arming allies like Israel with nukes while denying other people, and even arguing interventions make regions less stable, and create more enemies and serve hidden interests rather than, the genuine good. Once again, it's like, why are they talking like this? Why are people that were like watching on the YouTubes in the preparedness space, former military, and it's not just one, it's not just two, it's a whole handful of them, are doing the same exact thing? It doesn't. And so it's like, it kind of goes to a broader philosophy, they talk about things like they want to recommend books for people to read, like, Confessions of an Economic Hitman, or War is a Racket, which is written by Smedley Butler, which is, a lot of people don't know, was actually a Marine general who actually like stopped an American coup. Not a joke. And he also is one of the most highly decorated men on the planet. You might want to look the guy up. And there's even the one that's like the creature from Jekyll Island, to kind of understand the real reasons for war, economic exploitation, elite benefits, and they use U.S. actions as part of a pattern of more war, like more war equals more debt equals more control / domestic surveillance restrictions. Is this all starting to sound familiar to you? If it is, put a one in the chat. And yeah, it's interesting because there's the long and the short of things. I'm gonna go ahead and read this to you right here, and then I'm gonna check the chat here. But the question that we have to ask how this happened is the question of, how is this possible that these people served 20 plus years in the United States military and came out this way? Well, I told you how it happened. It happened from the top down and then from the bottom up. But it happened because they formed tribes, okay? And it wasn't just in the military. It was pretty much everywhere. But we're focused on the military tonight. And I'm going to go into basically the tribes of the military, or should I say the two modern tribes that still exist. You're part of a tribe, believe it or not, guys. You're part of a tribe, okay? But there's really only two modern tribes left. We're going to go over that here in a second. I want to say I was 8 when Obama was elected, but I remember some stuff in school changing. Wow, I didn't know you were that young, Cole, but okay, cool. I was already retired for 2 years when Obama was he was running, but he didn't get elected until 2009, or so I said take office until 2009. But I had just retired from 20 years in the Marine Corps. So you're a young buck. I love it. Yeah, Tim Huther, 3 Navy Crosses. Yeah, no joke, bro. No, the man was no joke. In fact, that's why the socialists decided to try and use him, because they knew that the military men would listen to him if he decided to start a coup. Okay, guys, we're going to try something new here real quick. We got 15 members in here. Hang out for me real quick. I got to pay some bills, and let's try to push this button right here. All right, slackers, listen up. Here's the deal. Refuge Medical. Best medical training and equipment company on the planet. You guys, it's just smart. This is where I make the videos. I'm not... That's right.
That was easy.
Oh, yeah. And here's the deal, guys. Here's the deal. Refuge Medical. Here's why. Here's why. Smart. Real. American. Guys, if you're not catching all this, if you're not catching what I'm putting down, I don't know what to tell you. But here's the deal. Guys, if you're going to spend any money on any type of trauma gear, medical gear whatsoever, and find that gear now. Why? Because it's made by Americans, in Americans, for Americans, sourced with American logistics, not a joke. It's just that easy. It's that easy. It's that. It's easy. All right, let's go back to the video. Okay. Now that we got that over and done here, we're going to move on to tribes. I don't see a lot in the chat here. Make sure I'm not in the top chat. I am not. I am in live chat right now. If you guys could throw one in the chat to wake it up, I'd appreciate it because it's good. It's good. It's good for the channel. Okay, so let's talk about tribes. From my perspective, there's really only two major tribes, or what I'm calling modern tribes. Now, when you look up tribes, it's going to try and talk about indigenous people, all these other things, because people don't really see it the way it really is now, right? Now, basically, there's two tribes, and you can agree or disagree with me. I completely understand and will accept your opinion. But, you know, the U.S. has transformed into several tribes over time, but the oldest of all the tribes under, you know, and unfortunately is very necessary to survive in the world, is the warrior tribe. Now, a warrior tribe typically refers to groups historically known for warfare, conquest, and have a strong warrior culture. During my first 15 years of service in the Marine Corps, we were a warrior tribe. Our commandant was our leader, and he, you know, and we followed orders. You know what I'm saying? These orders were rarely to defend, you know, unless it was an embassy or the president, which is our job, but they were to destroy. You know, the military was very good at destroying things pre-Obama. Now, the other type of modern tribe is what's called a sedentary or settled tribe. You know, these groups, they're kind of set into permanent or semi-permanent villages, and it's often based on stable resource exploitation. You know, these are more defensive oriented, or they kind of have a tendency to form confederacies rather than stand alone. You know, they kind of like, they want to be part of the global this and the global that, right? Miko Worf, Civil War 2.0, what kind of American are you? That's a great question for a TV. That's a great question for a TV. But you know, the thing about tribes is, and just a little itty bitty discussion is, and it should be done in the modern context. You know, the warring / aggressive tribes focus on conflict, expansion, or defense through force. You know, a traditional commercial tribes, they kind of emphasize exchange, alliances, or economic networks. And the ritual / ceremonial tribes, you know, basically where it's where social energy goes into ceremonies, you know, or spirituality, or, you know, like internal harmony rather than external war. And I think we can all agree that the military should be of the warring tribal class. Now, with all that said, and a commercial thrown into the middle of it, how is this related to being red pilled? If we check, I kind of flip things up on the survey question. The survey question is, do you feel we're being blue pilled by tube preppers? Right now, 56% believe yes, and 44% believe no, which is weird because it's already switched twice. So I guess some of the things that I was saying is actually kind of making sense, right? So how is it related to being red pilled? Well, I guess first, is being red pilled bad? You have to kind of ask the am I in a psyop type of question? You know, if this is happening, I'm in a psyop. If that's happening, I'm in a psyop. That kind of mentality. But that's for a different video, right? And did you, as an American, want payback over 9/11? So we have to, like, in this particular situation, we're in full attack mode right now, where we didn't have this giant negative event that brought us together as a nation, like 9/11. So it's a little bit different. It's a little hard to get on, right? So here's my observation. Billy King, what's going on, Broseph? Here's my observation. Too many preppers are fence sitters. Now, I'm not saying go grab your gun. I'm not saying get on a plane to Iran. I'm not saying go enlist. That's not what I'm saying. But there's a lot of them that, oh my God, did you see the economy? Oh my God, did you see the price of gold? You know, they're just fence sitters. They're just blah. You know what I'm saying? And what I'm saying is that anyone that doesn't support our country's actions should be questioned. You know, opinions are nice, but ideology is another thing completely different. And maybe asking the question, is this war with Iran going to do anything good for America, is a start. Maybe asking those people that question that won't support what's going on, or the prep tubers. You know what I'm saying? I would tell people to look at a map and count the friendly to America countries in the Middle East, and then ask why Iran is lobbing missiles at them, just willy-nilly, right? I would say look at the amount of time that the U.S. has spent in the Middle East trying to make friends. I would say look at how many times the U.S. has tried to negotiate with Iran. And then I would say look at the IRGC's, actually go and read their mission, okay? Islamic Revolutionary Guard, okay? That's what IRG and the IRGC stands for, right? Islamic, the Islamic Revolution. Revolution. Yeah, they've been in a revolution. They're there to protect the Islamic revolution since, you know, for 47 years. They're completely separate from the army. They're only the most fundamentalist Islamists are in control of that military, okay, that's there in Iraq or in Iran. So I would be asking those questions. And, you know, I could go on, but if you don't get it by now, I don't think you ever will. Now, as preppers, I always like to make sure that I get things into the prepper space, even though I say some crazy stuff. As preppers, we can still only do one thing. Prep. That's it. That's it. And that's my advice, you know? And remember, you don't have to get red pilled to simply support your country. And if you're from the generation of servicemen and women that were blue pilled for 20 plus years, there's always time to support your country without being a cynic. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to go to the chat here real quick and see what we got here. And Cole says, I agree. Do you think we can trust Qatar? Yes, we can trust Qatar. It is in Qatar's best interest to be as friendly as possible to the United States. What a lot of people need to make sure, hey, what's up, Lamb's Light? What a lot of people need to make sure they understand is that there is a significant difference between Arab states, and Islamic states, okay? And they have a different mentality. They have a different way of thinking about things. And there's a lot of problems in the Middle East with Iran because all of the surrounding countries, with the exception of Iraq, who is just kind of like, oh, gee, why were we there for 20 years? How come there's no McDonald's? You know what I'm saying? They're starting to spout up a little bit. I mean, I think we have one or two little small installations in Iraq, but for the most part, they've kind of returned to business as usual. But all the other ones are like, want to be our friend. they want this to stop. They want this to be over with Iran, because Iran, it's not just about, it's like there's a little bit of truth to everything. Nuclear weapons, death to America, the big evil, the big Satan, the little Satan, you know. Iran thinks they have all these countries surrounded, but they really only have two countries that are even remotely within their control. And even then, those are barely in their controls. You know, you got half of Yemen with the Houthis down south, and so they think they've got like this wraparound down to the southwest, you know, and then you've got Lebanon, which is kind of like the wraparound to but then they got to go like through Turkey, and Turkey's like, bring it this way, see what happens. We have nuclear weapons, you know. So they're not making friends. They're not making friends to anybody at all. And I think that we need to remember that as the price of gas goes to $3.50, and the price as some of the food prices start to go up, you know what I'm saying? As people's power bills start to go up, and remember that almost all of those problems had nothing to do with Iran. You know, I was talking to this one guy today, and he was like, well, you know, the price of oil is going to go up, it's going to go through the roof, and the price of gas is going to go through the roof because of the Straits of Hormuz. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. You know, did you know that, you know, the Saudis, Qatar, Oman, the UAE, did you know they have like pipelines that completely bypass that particular place in the world, so they don't have to put oil on a ship? Did you know that? No, I didn't. So why are we talking like this? You know what I'm saying? You know, did you know that basically statistically only 20% of the world's oil comes out of that region, that goes through the Strait of Hormuz? You know what I'm saying? So why is gas prices higher here? Because the gas companies are taking advantage of the situation. You know, I showed in a video the other day where the price of crude had gone up a little bit, but the price of gasoline had actually gone down a little bit. You know, they were like balancing each other. You know what I'm saying? Then the price would go, they would go back and forth, which made no sense. You know what I'm saying? Which means that the gas companies are controlling the price of gas based off of, oh my God, oh, it's October 1st. You know, it's like, what is it? Oh, it's June 1st. It's hurricane season. Let's raise the price of gas 10 cents. You know, that's really all this came down to. You know, there's 300 million barrels of oil, you know, sitting in cargo ships waiting to take a bid, you know, off the coast of Mozambique. You know, it's like, stop talking to me about the Straits of Hormuz. You know what I'm saying? Because it does have an effect, but it is just not as significant as the news would want you to believe. And it's not as significant as these prep tubers would try to make you think it is. All right, I'm going to go to the chat here. We got a couple things in here. Cole says, I may sound dumb, but that's the difference between Qatar and other countries in the Middle East. But what's the difference? They have a different color sand. I don't, there's no, it's not a dumb question. It's just that there's really no difference. Okay. You know, they're either Shia, they're either Sunni. You got the Kurds that are playing around in there. You're going to hear about that boots on the ground Kurds. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's interesting. Let's see. Miko says, been there since 1979. You've been at war with You've been at war with the war since they killed American citizens, since the payback is a bitch. Iran shall be free. Yeah, you know, and that's one of the things that I wanted to show you guys too, because like I said, there is disinformation. Anything that comes out of Iran now, I like flat out from the government of Iran. There's basically, they have 3 main portals of information that are government based, but there's also a couple of other ones that are kind of like CNN, MSNBC, that kind of category, but Iranian. I wanted to show you guys something. I wanted to show you something that might get your brains in the right place. I think this video came out yesterday. Open video, open video, open. I'm going to go ahead and switch over, and let's go ahead and pause it so I can get the sound right for you guys. All right, you are not getting, there we go.
People. The mainstream media are telling you.
All right, let's try it again. Here we go. Come on. I'm going to turn it up too.
I have an update from inside Iran for those who are genuinely worried about people. The mainstream media are telling you crap because they want to use your natural worrisome reaction to stop the war and save the regime. My mother called me this morning to reassure me that everyone is safe. She had to call because the regime has cut off the internet again. It's a crime to cut off the internet on people during war, yet the regime does that. She said there have been loud explosions. It is still ongoing, more than in the 12-day war last summer, but nobody is panicking. Everyone is chill because they know from experience that they are all targeted, they're precise, and mostly from residential areas. And for those targets that are closer to the residential areas, like mosques and siege bases inside neighborhoods, she said many people have received phone calls warning them to evacuate beforehand. It is consistent with what we learned from 12-day war. She also said even though we're close to the holidays, families are staying home as President Trump and Prince Reza Pahlavi instructed them. And they are avoiding public places like schools because we know for a fact that the regime uses them as human shield. So this is exactly why we Iranians in exile keep saying thank you to Trump and Netanyahu. You can clearly see how much attention and effort they put into protecting civilians, our families, while the regime deliberately targets high-density residential areas to maximize civilian casualties, not just in Israel, but in Saudi Arabia, in Dubai, in Qatar. Our only real concern right now is the regime itself, the malfunctioning of their made-in-China missiles, and their ongoing use of people as human shields. And how do we know about this human shielding? In 2020, the regime fired 2 missiles at a passenger plane full of Iranians and children near Tehran, right after attacking a US base in Iraq. They expected Trump to hit back hard, so they could play the victim card. But Trump didn't retaliate, and they miscalculated. And we Iranians learned in a very painful way what this regime is capable of. I know many of you are worried. Please stay calm. No one wants war, but we have been left with no other choice. This regime is a cancerous tumor, and at this point, the only option is an invasive surgery. Please be patient, stay hopeful, and pray for the American and Israeli heroes, and for my people to stay safe and pass this storm. Please share this video as much as you can with your friends because, as I said, you can't trust mainstream media on this topic anymore.
Okay, so I think I have thoroughly pissed off the algorithm. It says there are 0 people watching right now, and I know that's not true. We literally had like 15, 16 people in here, and it just went right to 0. So it really makes me wonder who is actually watching. Also, greetings to you, my friend, the UK Urban Prepper. I haven't talked to you in a while. Good to see you. Good to see you. Miko says, now we got to set a president and got a set of balls or back up our troops and give them what they need and get the job done right. And remember, it's a voluntary army. It's not a draft. Yeah, you know, I don't really have a problem with that. I think that that's actually a pretty true statement. But a lot of, we're always going to have people that think that they can say and do whatever they want to do while they're on active duty and wearing the uniform, things like that. There will always be people that just are getting it wrong, you know. I'm still here, so they are lying. Yeah, I know, right? It's funny too because here, watch this. Watch this. So there we go. YouTube's this is the piece of software I use to like look at stuff, right? It says I have like no concurrent views, right? No views right now at all. This one over here says that I have 8 people watching. There, that one says I have 8. You know what? I'm gonna hit that because I'm kind of curious how many thumbs up I got. Let's see how many thumbs up we got going on here. Only 12 thumbs up. I mean, come on, you guys. Anyway, you know, I don't care about. Well, I do. It strokes my ego a little bit, you know. But it's very difficult to continue to think certain ways, and yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird, and it was funny to watch the poll change so drastically. If you guys haven't voted yet, 17 votes. Do you feel you're being blue-pilled by tube preppers? 59% say yes. That's pretty significant, guys. That's pretty significant. If you didn't know that, that's. I mean, I gotta do a screenshot of that. Let me get a quick screenshot of that, so that I have that for later. I need that for later. It's kind of mind blowing. It's kind of mind blowing, you know. We don't have the draft. I got you. How do you feel about trolls online saying Barron Trump should be drafted to fight because his last name is Trump? Well, one, the draft doesn't exist, and two, that is unfortunately that's a lefty move, because whenever the left starts to talk about sons and daughters dying in a foreign country, it's normally them. It's normally their sons and daughters who are like not serving the military, that are not like that went to Harvard or Yale, you know, and have these fancy jobs. And that's great because everybody wants their kids to be better than they were, you know, to do better than they were. But it's really difficult. It's kind of, unfortunately, it's kind of like that backwards talk where, like, you know, if you're, you know, that's racist. You know what I'm saying? These words don't have any meaning anymore. They used to, but they don't anymore because they've been overused. It's a same. The left says the same thing every time, you know. Let's see here. We don't have the draft. You're international. I'm international. Yeah, I do actually have a few people who do watch. You know, it's funny too, because I giggle, guys. I don't know if I can pull it up or not. Let me try here. I get a real giggle. I look at my stats like every day, but I get a real giggle out of some stats, because it's like they just don't matter. You know what I'm saying? The fortunate one. Mine shows 7 people. There you go. Tube preppers. Yeah. So if you talk about preparedness on YouTube, you're a tube prepper. But you know, it's kind of like if you have a completely different format, UK Urban Prepper. Your format is very different than the ones here in the United States. You know, you know, get your guns. You know, sleeper cells are activated. You know what I'm saying? And I think you can agree. You can completely agree that we do have those here in America. I don't see a lot of that stuff over there in Europe, but you know, look at my stats. It's kind of crazy. So here it's probably gonna change right while we're doing things. But here, this is what I'm talking about. Me on other screen. There we go. All right. So this is like my stats. This is like the YouTube behind the stuff you guys never get to see, right? This is like behind the door, that kind of thing. So we're content. Let's go and let me look at this last video. So I just put this video up, right? And somebody told me, you're just in it for the money. Yeah. And I was like, really? Okay. Actually, you know what? I need to go back to the dash. Is it going to let me do it? There we go. Analytics. Yeah. I'm in it for the money. This video is 2 days old, right? I'm in it for the money. It's always funny, you know. It's like sometimes people just say the dumbest frickin' things. Like, I don't know if it's like uneducated or I think people just generally don't know what it really is about. But going back to the chat here, Miko says, and don't forget about Obama and Clinton's Fast and Furious. Give all the weapons to Mexico cartels, which they're in a roar right now with their country, with the cartels. Here's your sign. I know. Yeah, they just did that council meeting today with Trump and several South American countries' presidents. They have like this council where they're all going to start like telling each other stuff, and they like mapped out the cartel routes and just the craziest things. We can fully expect some of those South American presidents to become unalived rapidly. So, UK Prepper says, I've been accused. Let's see. People are clueless, and most my lives can't be monetized either. Yeah. Well, I decided not to monetize this one because the one, I thought it was kind of important because I didn't want people to think like I was just like throwing shade at people for money. You know, I mean, you saw how much I make per video. It's this is not an income. You know what I'm saying? The other reason was because I wanted to be able to show you show videos like from the very beginning. UK Prepper, have you seen like the motivational videos that are coming out of the White House? Let me know in the chat. I'll play it for you if you haven't seen it. But I wanted to be able to play that, and those are like the algorithm, like, oh, I hear somebody else's music. You're not allowed to use that, and so it would have demonetized me anyway. So I was just like, nah, I'm not even going to monetize it. So let's see here. Lamb's Light said, clueless, a good name for new flavor of ice cream. Hey, that's hilarious, Lamb's Light. Whose picture is going to be on the container? Whose picture would you pick to be on the container of clueless? Because we're starting to see some crazy stuff. Has anybody seen what is it? Tucker Carlson? You know, it's like, this war is evil and you know, it's like, that's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, I'll play it for you, man. Hold on a second here. Let me minimize that, and well, it's kind of motivating. You know, the thing about American retribution is it is very much like in the movie theaters. You know what I'm saying? So this was actually kind of fitting. Let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and switch this over. Hopefully I got my sound right. Let's try it.
Wake up, Daddy's home.
Welcome home, son.
Strength and honor.
Strength and honor.
What will you do without freedom?
Mavericks inbound.
You can't conceive of what I'm capable of!
Finishing this fight.
Yeah, I'm thinking I'm back.
I'm here to fight for truth and justice in the American way.
I am the danger.
Time to find out.
Maximum effort. Here it comes.
Now end this!
Flawless victory.
That's what's coming out of the White House right now. And you know, there are people that are criticizing it, and rightfully so. But the thing is I think that they're criticizing it more because they didn't think of it, and because the White House's social media team is they're playing. Well, the left is playing checkers, if that, and dropping pieces. You know, the White House media team is playing 3D Star Trek chess. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's crazy. Yeah, see, Cole, it spoke to Cole. Okay, that video spoke to Cole because Cole has seen every single one of those movies, and he knows what all of that means. You know what I'm saying? I thought it was interesting that they actually even had the Japanese cartoon in there, because like my era of Bugs Bunny and the Roadrunner, that's gone. None of that exists. It's all Japanese cartoons now. You know what I'm saying? But he knows. So really, yeah, that came out of the White House, dude. And it was kind of inspirational for today's live stream as well. So Very interesting day of sitting behind the computer today, doing lots and lots of research. I would recommend, you know, because you are a YouTube developer like me, I would recommend that you go back and watch this video from the beginning, because it's literally all about, like, are you being red pilled or are you being blue pilled? And it dives very deep into the history of the U.S. military under Obama and Biden, and how it basically destroyed the warrior tribe. So where is it on X? Hold on a second here. Let me see if I can find that. I don't know if I can pull that up. YouTube member. What do we got here? What do we got going on here? That's not what I want. Let me see if I can find this. I love how all you have to do is go to a browser and type X. It's so easy to get, so frickin' smart. Let's see here. Don't care about that. X / White House. Let's try that. Did it work? Did it work? It may have worked. White House. I don't know if it'll. Right now, they're doing a lot of Mourning of the Dead right now, so I don't know. Because it is like 3 days old. Yeah, I actually had to pull that down from, they only keep posts for like a few days. They don't like make it you the ability to dig in deep. I can send you a link later, UK Urban Prepper. Can't lie, love the Mortal Kombat scene. There you go. I know, right? Cole said, if I was 18 again at this moment, that video would make me want to join. I don't know if that was the intention of it. But it does speak to a lot of people, you know. I mean, you look at all of everybody in those videos is like, I'm an American and I'm going to kick your ass. You know, you should have left me alone. Even Optimus Prime, where was he? America. You know what I'm saying? So it's an interesting concept. And apparently 59% of you believe that you have been blue pilled by tube preppers. So gotcha. All right, good to go, man. You found it. I found it. Okay, looks like we actually went over our 1 hour. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me. I want a special thanks to all the people who helped me reach the goal, so I can keep the power on and I can keep the cats fed and all that good stuff. I may be a grandma, but I would have fought if I could have. Good. I'm glad. Yeah, that's going to be about it. Thanks for hanging out with me. Until the next time, stay safe. Have a great day, and I shall see you when I see you. Bye-bye. Just going to let this run a little bit so I can put, like, watch another video. Hey, when this ends, watch another video, guys. Seriously, it does help the channel. You might find something you like. Yay.